Hello guys, it's Ironhawk and welcome back. In today's video we're going to be recreating the story of Stannis Baratheon when he sieges King's Landing in the Battle of Blackwater Bay. If you've watched Game of Thrones you will know that Tommen Baratheon and his gold cloaks were defending the castle with the Lannisters, and as of yet the self-proclaimed King Stannis and numerous Dragonstone and Stormlands bannermen actually assaulted King's Landing. Stannis had built up quite a sizable force because Renly, his brother, had been killed the night before, and lots of his bannermen from the Stormlands actually joined Stannis in the assault. Here you can see Stannis leaving Dragonstone and gathering his armies to head towards King's Landing and start the assault via Blackwater Bay. As Stannis dismounts to survey his forces, he realizes that so many of them are under-equipped. Many of them don't even have helmets or shields. He hopes his army's sheer weight of numbers will crush the Baratheons and the Lannisters hauled up in King's Landing, and he expects that they will simply be overwhelmed. Stannis rests his eyes on Dragonstone for one last time, knowing that he may never return. So Stannis begins the long voyage towards King's Landing, leaving his main keep at Dragonstone with his huge fleet. Now obviously for the purposes of Warband we have to scale down the actual army size that Stannis had in the TV series, so today we've got 1,000 men, which is actually quite a lot in Warband terms. Now as Stannis' fleet sails towards King's Landing, I would like to talk about the new series that this video is actually a part of. So this new series is going to be called Siege Sunday, and I'm going to be uploading it every single Sunday. Now obviously this video didn't come out on a Sunday, it's because I was very busy, but in the future I will make sure I'm prepared and it's all ready to be uploaded for Sunday night. Now the general idea behind this series is that I do lots of different kinds of sieges, whether that's from movies or TV shows, or even from history, for example the Siege of Jerusalem. There's also going to be a few other variables. For example, I may do Warband single player, I may do Warband multiplayer using a variety of different mods, and maybe even native. I may even apply this series into some other games, for example Total War, especially Medieval 2, definitely of Kings and Men when the castle sieges are actually released in that game, and also Chivalry Medieval Warfare. And another idea I had was to do Kingdom Come Deliverance, because some of the sieges on that are very unique to the genre and are absolutely phenomenal. So make sure to look out for this series on the channel. Now as we can see, Stannis has actually arrived in the Bay of King's Landing. However, something happened that he wasn't expecting.
Get down!
Almost all of the ships involved in the first wave and the initial frontal assault were wiped out. So obviously a lot of the soldiers died, and you can see now that our numbers are reduced to just under 800. There were still many ships in Stannis' fleet that were left afloat, so they sailed forth, eventually landing on the beaches of King's Landing. As soon as the Stormland and Dragonstone infantry landed, they were already being shot at and sometimes killed by the Goldcloak and Westerland archers. Stannis ordered his men into a full-out charge, leading as many man-at-arms as he could towards the left-hand ladder, and he felt like that was the easiest way to assault the castle. As Stannis looked around him, he noticed that so many of his men were already dying. The Westerland and Goldcloak archers were slaughtering them as they approached the left-hand ladder. As Stannis was urging his men to get a foothold on the front walls, he realised that his sheer weight of numbers wouldn't be enough to match the onslaught of the Westerland and Goldcloak arrows. However, he knew that as long as he continued to fight, his men would follow him. So as you can see, I order my archers just in front of this main ladder so they can suppress as many of the enemy archers as possible. Now obviously this turns into a massive choke point situation when as many men as possible are piling up into one tiny little point. There's archers flying everywhere, there's arrows hitting so many people. As you can see from the kill feed, so many of my men were dying and I was only getting a few kills upon the melee fighting on the top of the ladder. To try and separate my men out from being absolutely cut down by the arrow fire, I decided to take as many men as I could over to the left-hand ladder. you're using the underscore key to take the nearby soldiers so I could push through these archers that were actually suppressing my archers. Now, obviously I didn't go up there myself because I would have been absolutely slaughtered, and I would like to say now that I did use cheats just to make sure that I stayed alive. The reasoning behind this is because when I died, the battle is over, and I can't really show you guys everything, and I think it'd be a lot better if I actually stayed alive, showed you some melee, showed you the tactics that I used to actually assault the castle. At this point in the battle, we had a very strong foothold on these front walls. However, they were countering us by pushing from the left-hand side, and many of the gold cloak archers were actually putting up quite a strong melee resistance. However, more of my man-at-arms started to storm onto these front walls, and they basically replaced any of my men that died. However, I only had a certain amount of men to actually attack this castle with, and they were going to run out any second. Some more enemy archers had decided to spawn on the right hand side of the choke point, and obviously they were firing into my infantry, and we were taking a lot of hits. Now, as you can see through the kill feed, we were actually doing quite well, and once my infantry got into the archers, they were basically annihilating them. However, when they were shooting us in the back, that was a massive problem, so I decided to take a detachment of infantry and attack them as best I could. However, I was soon overwhelmed on that area, and I left the rest of my troops to die. There was just so many of them on that left-hand side. However, here I see 3 of my men surrounded by enemy archers, so I decided to get into the fray, blocking and attacking as many of them as I could so that they could survive. Sadly, only 1 lived, I think, here, but I did try my best, and then I decided to fall down. I didn't actually decide to fall down, I accidentally fell down. However, this commenced an epic duel between me and this AI. Look at that, that's probably the most casual block I've ever seen. He wasn't even looking at me. He's quite attached to this other infantry that was on my team. However, this started the duel of amazingness. He actually got a hit on me there, which is quite interesting. And I actually pushed him up this ladder. The kill feed is, at this point, is being pretty bad, and we're taking a lot of hits, and it's just not going too well. However, I've got a lot of Stormlance Levy, I think it is, pushing up this left-hand ladder into those gold cloaks. I mean, look at them. The textures on those gold cloaks are absolutely amazing. They look like they do in the show, basically, and I'm just overwhelmed by that. I began to notice that the enemy were pushing us back down the ladder, so I decided to leave down the other ladder and get a detachment of infantry to actually assault them from the flank, and hopefully that would deter them from pushing my guys down the ladder, and it would also mean less people were getting shot, and hopefully we'd be able to push them back to their original position. This point of the battle would decide whether Stannis would win or lose. If we could push them back far enough that their archers couldn't shoot the people coming up the ladder to back up the remaining forces on the walls, then we just have overwhelming numbers on the top of these walls, and they wouldn't be able to do anything because their ranged weaponry was actually the main thing that was killing us throughout the whole siege. And the only way to prevent this was to force them into melee. Whilst the make or break battle happened on the walls, I decided to head back down the ladder to grab the remaining archers that were left on the ground. Now I decided if I took them back up the ladder and stationed them on the left of the main body of enemy infantry, they'd be able to shoot into them, hopefully getting a lot of kills because they're actually shooting into the back of the enemy. Now what I failed to notice at this part of the siege is that the gold cloak officers that were the equivalent of heavy infantry actually were at the walls, and they were basically fighting levies because that was what most of my force was made up of, because Stannis didn't actually have that many experienced troops with him. Here Stannis realised that there were no more infantry left. His last man died in a flash of fire, and he was left alone to fight the remaining gold cloaks. He tried to retreat, but there were just too many of them, and finally he was hit by an arrow, and he went down, knocked unconscious. Eventually he managed to escape and return to Dragonstone. Although he had suffered defeat at King's Landing, he knew that there were other ways of getting the Iron Throne. He knew of countries to the east that would supply him with gold for another army, so that he could take Westeros for himself. As he dismounted, he knew it wasn't the end. As he looked into the sunset, he realised that Westeros had many enemies that he could rally to his cause in order to restore peace to the country once more. So guys, that will wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this new series that's going to be starting on the channel. And I think we can apply a few storylines to these, because I think that makes it a lot more fun for you guys, and it's also quite a lot of fun for me. Please comment below any ideas that you have for the Siege Sunday series. It can be absolutely anything, from any game that involves historical content and obviously involves the siege. Finally, make sure to check the description for all the links you could possibly need, including the link to join my clan, the House Stark, which involves the Persistent World mod, which if you don't know what it is, we can tell you. All you have to do is apply on the website. Also, make sure to join my Steam group, and like if you did enjoy the video, and subscribe if you are new. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching yet again, and I will see you in the next one.